Are you looking for an eco-friendly alternative to plastic wrap that you can reuse over and over again and that's compostable? Today I'm going to show you how to make an extra sticky DIY beeswax wrap. Hey everyone, it's Christina from the DIYmommy.com. Last year, I put together a eco-friendly roundup of crafts that you can make to start to use less single-use plastic in your home. One of the most popular crafts on there were my DIY beeswax wraps. There were so many questions, and today I'm going to dedicate this whole video on how to make the perfect DIY beeswax wrap, plus I'm adding an extra ingredient to make these ones extra sticky. First of all, what is a beeswax wrap? It's a reusable alternative to plastic wrap. You can use them to wrap up cheese, cover bowls, wrap up sandwiches, wrap up fruit pieces, and so much more. What's it made of? It's made of primarily of cotton fabric and beeswax, and extras like jojoba oil and pine resin can be added to make these softer and stickier. Now, how does it work? You can wrap it around food and bowls using the warmth of your hands to activate the wax and seal the wrap together. You can wash it after use using lukewarm water and a gentle soap and hang it to dry. Now, how long does a beeswax wrap last? It should last from about 6 to 12 months before it loses all its stickiness. You can either revive it at that point with more beeswax or you can compost it. Last year, I made some beeswax wraps that I've used for months and I loved. I'm going to leave the link to my original DIY beeswax tutorial in the description box below. These ones required warming them with your hands though to stick. And after some requests from you, my viewers, and my own curiosity, I've come up with an even better DIY beeswax wrap method that's extra sticky and so simple to use. I did try to make these a different way at first, very similar to how I made my first beeswax wraps by sprinkling all of the ingredients right on the wrap, including the beeswax, jojoba oil, and pine resin, but I found this gave them a very uneven texture with the addition of the pine resin. So I've come up with a way to mix everything together first and then place it on the wrap to make sure it's nice and smooth. For this DIY, you're going to need some cotton fabric. Make sure to pre-wash it and cut it into squares of desired size. You can also buy these ones from Amazon. They're pre-cut and ready to go. I'll leave a link to these down in the description box below. You'll also need a block of beeswax. I got this one from my local beekeeper down the road. You could also buy bee pellets or beeswax off of Amazon. I will link that below. You're going to need a grater, some jojoba oil, and what this does is it makes the wraps extra pliable and soft. You'll also need some pine resin, which is my secret ingredient to make these ones extra sticky. You'll need fabric scissors, pinking shears, a double boiler or a saucepan and mason jar measuring cup combo, parchment paper, an iron, and a small brush. First of all, make sure to pre-wash your fabric and cut it into 2 squares with fabric scissors. I like 8-inch squares or 11-inch squares for beeswax wraps. You can cut more squares to make more wraps, but then make sure to increase the rest of the ingredients accordingly. Now start grating your beeswax. You can use a regular grater like I'm using here, and you're going to want to make about half a cup of grated beeswax. Next, add 1 tablespoon of jojoba oil into your mason jar, your measuring cup, or your double boiler. This ingredient is what softens the wrap and makes it pliable. Then add 3 tablespoons of pine resin. This ingredient is going to make your wrap extra sticky. I'll link down below where you can buy it. And finally, you're going to add your 1/2 cup of shredded or grated beeswax. Don't forget to double or triple these ingredients if you're making more than 2 beeswax wraps. Melt the ingredients in the double boiler until they are all mixed and liquefied. Beeswax has a very low melting point, so a double boiler is really important here. Don't ever try to microwave beeswax. Meanwhile, lay the fabric squares on some parchment paper. When the wax mixture is ready, brush it onto the fabric squares with a brush, going from the center out like I am doing here. Then put another sheet of parchment paper over the wraps. Use an iron on the cotton setting and press it over the wraps to ensure the wax mixture is spread evenly over the wraps. This will also help it seep to the other side of the fabric, so you don't have to coat both of the sides with the beeswax. I used this method in my last tutorial and it worked really well. Now remove the wraps from the parchment paper and you can hang them to dry. They're actually going to dry quite quickly. The beeswax sets really quickly, so I'm just kind of flipping them in the air here, and that works too. Once they're dry, trim the edges of the wraps with pinking shears. And you're all done. You can use the wraps to wrap up fruit, sandwiches, cheese, or to cover bowls of food. Wash the wraps after each use in lukewarm water with a mild detergent, and then you can hang them to dry. You can compost these wraps after 6 to 12 months of use or revive them with an extra sprinkling of beeswax. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Let me know down in the comments below if you've ever used or tried making beeswax wraps, or if you have any other tips and tricks on how to make them and use them. I would love to hear. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more DIY and decor ideas on a budget. I'm going to leave some more videos that I hope you will enjoy up in the top left-hand corner.